It's Friday, January 14th, 2011. I'm Kevin McShann, and this is the McShann Sports Beat Report.
ESPN.com's Pat Forty is with us now here on SportsCenter. Pat, what kind of an NFL quarterback will Cam Newton make?
Well, Steve, he's got certainly, the size that people look for at quarterback. Obviously has the maneuverability and escapability, the athletic ability. Arm strength is certainly not a problem. I think really the question will be more mechanics and reading defenses. He's had a very good offensive coordinator to work with, Gus Malzahn, but Gus Malzahn's offense doesn't have a lot in common with most NFL offenses. So, while the physical tools are there, I think it'll probably take some time to adjust for him. And, whether anybody's willing to spend a first-round pick on him, I'm not sure at this point.
Pat, the BCS championship game, clearly they won, and it was mission accomplished. But there were moments when you wondered. He had the bad underthrow on the one play in the end zone, the big overthrow on what would have been another touchdown here. Do you worry about that from an NFL passing perspective on Cam Newton?
Yeah, he's certainly got to tighten up on NFL caliber throws. There's no doubt about it. The windows will be smaller. The defensive backs will be better. The whole schemes will be markedly different than what he's used to. So, there's a lot to like there, but there's also a lot to learn.
Pat, how much of what we saw from Cam Newton as a collegian do you think we'll see as a professional?
I don't know. It's a different game. Running quarterbacks don't have a long shelf life in the National Football League, so he's going to have to become, a pass-first guy. And he passed it very well a lot of the time, but not all the time in college. So he's going to have to change his style. There's no doubt about it to be able to be a success at the NFL level.
Obviously, it's a loss for Auburn. They lose a great player, the runaway Heisman Trophy winner. But is there a little bit of a gain for the university in separating itself from everything else that was involved with Newton this year?
That's a good question. The fact is, though, that the investigation goes on whether or not Cameron Newton is there, and they still have a lot to lose if the NCAA comes back with findings that involve Auburn in any way. They can lose a national title. He can still be stripped of a Heisman Trophy. And it really, if you think back on it, Steve, it was certainly, I would say, probably the most impactful, eventful single season any player has ever had in college, for good and for bad. He was ridiculously productive, led his team to an undefeated season in the national championship, but then was involved in certainly one of the biggest controversies in NCAA history, and it's an ongoing thing that's going to keep on dragging until we have definitive word from the NCAA that Auburn's in the clear.
The decisions you make now will universally affect your quality of life and decision-making process as you move forward into adulthood, which makes it all that more imperative to consider all of your options before jumping into the pool of life and leaving your comfort zone. For Auburn Tigers quarterback Cam Newton, Thursday signaled the day he made the ultimate decision to forego his senior season of eligibility and enter the 2011 NFL Draft. Now the question is he ready? Newton guided the Tigers to their first national championship since 1957 in his first and only season as a starting quarterback in major Division I college football, with a 22-19 victory over the Oregon Ducks in the Tostitos National Championship game on Monday night. Newton talks about his decision and what the University of Auburn has meant to him.
It's been a blessing for me just to be a part of something so great. Anytime you win games, it's a big deal, but for this school just to represent a BCS National Championship, what a way to make people happy.
Obviously, you've had a decision to ponder on about your future. Can you share with us what that is?
First off, this decision took on a great deal for me and my family. And, after talking to Coach Chizik, Coach Malzahn, I think it's best that, I make that next step in my career to forego my senior season and to enter the NFL draft. It was a very hard decision for me, a bittersweet decision, especially after coming off of a great season at Auburn. I'm blessed to have been around excellent environment and having supporting cast from my teammates, my coaching staff, and also the Auburn family.
What will Auburn mean to you, or what does it mean to you?
Auburn is a place that I could call home now. We set history this season and winning the national championship. Not only that, but just having this spectacular season is something that the people of Auburn can hang their hat on with an excellent legacy. These people and this team will be always the pinnacle of what Auburn stands for. I think we raised the bar for Auburn, and what a way to go out.
Talk a little bit about that.
One word that sticks out to me is loved. And anytime a person may feel that way towards anything, I think that person feels obligated to give back. And for me this year, in a way that I probably could give back is to bring great attention to Auburn in the best way that I feel like I could.
A native of College Park, Georgia, Newton added several awards to his trophy case during the postseason award circuit. He was named the Walter Kemp and Associated Press National Player of the Year. He also won the Maxwell Award, given to the nation's top player, and the Davy O'Brien Award, given to the nation's top quarterback. However, it hasn't all been a bed of roses for this year's Heisman Trophy winner. He played the final 2 months of this season under speculation that his father, Cecil, shopped his son's services to Mississippi State during a recruiting trip to the school. However, the only true findings that have resulted from an NCAA investigation include Auburn suspending their quarterback and declaring him ineligible to participate in the Southeastern Conference Championship game against South Carolina. However, the NCAA reinstated him a day later because even though they say they haven't closed the investigation entirely into the situation, they could find no evidence that Newton had any knowledge of his father's activities. On the field, he rushed for 1,473 yards and 20 touchdowns, while also throwing for 2,854 yards and 30 touchdowns. He set Auburn school records for rushing, passing, and total offense in a single season. He also set the conference mark for yards on the ground by a quarterback. He sustained a back injury in Monday's win over Oregon in the title game. However, he still ran for 64 yards, passed for 265, and 2 touchdowns. ESPN's NFL draft analyst Todd McShay tells us how Newton's skills will translate to the next level and whether or not he has an opportunity to be successful.
Todd McShay, ESPN Draft Insider, joins us now. And Todd, watching him play every Saturday as you did following the college football here, it was obvious how his skill set translated at the college level, Heisman Trophy and BCS title. How does it figure to translate at the next level?
Well, Scott, he has all the natural physical tools. 6'6", 250 pounds. He's an exceptional athlete, obviously, and he has a strong enough arm to make all of the NFL throws. But when evaluating quarterbacks, I think the two most important aspects are the mental makeup and accuracy as a passer. How do you throw the ball? Throwing within the pocket as well. And when I study Cam Newton, first of all, he's never sniffed a pro-style offense, only 1 year at that FBS level. So there's a lot of questions about how long the learning curve, or how big the learning curve is going to be at the next level. And then from an accuracy standpoint in the pocket, I think he's adequate at best and has a lot of room to improve. So if Tim Tebow is a first-round draft pick, Cam Newton will be a first-round draft pick, but he is a long-term project in my opinion.
Todd, it's patently unfair to say if this player reminds you of that player, that player ought to impact how this player is viewed. What I'm getting at, I guess, is Vince Young played in a similar style of offense, won a national championship, and has not translated at the pro level. Would it be fair to say that because of that Newton might frighten some NFL types?
I think you're going to hear a lot of comparisons with Vince Young and I think you're going to hear a lot of comparisons to Ben Roethlisberger. He's probably somewhere in between those two. I know this. If you look at the top 15 quarterbacks in terms of quarterback rating, the leaders in all of the NFL, there's just one guy on that list, Michael Vick, who played in a spread, option style offense at the college level and has been able to translate it. Obviously, it's taken him a while to become a good passer, both for off the field reasons, but also on the field reasons. And outside of that, we've had a lot of guys come in from college football running this spread, the spread option offense, and really struggle to understand the game. It's so much of it is mental, and it takes so long to develop. And if you're drafted high, the pressure there is that now to play him in the first year,
right,
at least the second year, and it just makes it very difficult.
I want to close with one final thought. You said he's a first rounder. There was some cloak and dagger regarding a back injury, and I don't know that we have any great detail about that injury, but clearly between now and April, if something's wrong with you, the NFL is going to find that out. How big a concern would that be, given that he is a quarterback that's going to look to run when possible?
Few individuals in this entire draft class will be under the microscope more in the next few months than Cam Newton, both from a physical standpoint and then also off the field. I mean, if we're getting ready as an NFL club to spend $30, $40 million guaranteed money, we've got to find out what went on off the field, what kind of leadership he has, what kind of maturity we're dealing with. So there's a lot of questions there, and there's Andrew Luck's not in the draft this year, but there's still some good quarterbacks. Blaine Gabbert from Missouri, in my opinion, being the number one, but also Ryan Mallett from Arkansas will be competing with him to be in that first round, and Jake Locker from Washington.
It's been quite the year for the former backup to Tim Tebow at Florida, from leading Blinn College in Texas to a junior college national championship to winning the Heisman Trophy to guiding Auburn on the field to the national championship, and not to mention the ongoing investigation involving his father. There's been no shortage of headlines this college football season surrounding Cam Newton, and now we'll see if he can pass the ultimate test and put all of his off-the-field troubles behind him in order to focus on being the best quarterback he can be. There'll be no quarterback, or player for that matter, scrutinized more than Cam Newton throughout this entire process. So as the draft evaluation season begins, we'll all be watching with a keen interest to see if Cameron Newton can stack up against the NFL's best, and whether he'll turn out to be a boom or a bust. Kevin McShann, Sports Beat, reports.